Hey everyone, thanks a lot for joining us and hope you're having a great time. That was an amazing session from Ankit, and I saw the server side rendering from Srishti and unit testing. Amazing talks and more talks coming after this. So please hang on and watch all the talks, and we would love to actually hear about your experience after the conference is over. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Santosh Yadav, and I'm one of the Google developer expert for Angular, and I'm one of the GitHub star. I'm an star auto ambassador. Actually, I also write for indep.dev. This is learning, and this is Angular. So, and apart from that, you can actually find me on all social media using this name, Santosh Yadav Dev. So, I also run the Tech Talks with Santosh, which Simon just mentioned. And apart from that, I'm doing a live stream on Twitch. So, if you're interested, you can just find me on Twitch with the same user, same handle, Santosh Yadav Dev. And I'm doing an Angular Getting Started live stream every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So anyone wants to learn Angular in more depth, or it's not only for starters, it's even for the experts. So feel free to join and come and chat, have a chat. So that's about me. Let's go ahead and get started, and let's see how you can become productive using Angular. There will be a lot of content which is maybe expert developers already know, but yes, it's like how to get started and then how Angular can make you productive. So that's what we are going to cover. So first thing, Angular is actually built keeping productivity in mind. So it's not like, we are going to use some extra tools apart from one tool which I have as an what can surprise. So for you, but apart from that, whatever tool I'm going to mention is Angular. So I'm not going to give you any tool which is outside of Angular. So let's go ahead and get started. Generally, so as a developer, right? So when you start Angular, so what you see, so this is the Angular Lego, and you think, okay, this is just Angular. But let me tell you what actually Angular is. Angular is this, apart from one logo, which I'm sure a lot of developers can identify, which is not supported anymore in Angular 12. But apart from that, every logo which you can see is actually part of Angular. So let's see each one of them, and let's get started with what we are going to see. So and what Angular already has. So it has built-in module for forms. So if you go to any other technology, you have to actually go ahead and search for different libraries, which form to use, which form not to use. Angular already has taken care of it from the day one. So we are of course going to see that a built-in module for routing. You don't have to search for routing. Pre-configured unit testing. It comes with Jasmine and Karma. Great session from Jitendra was already there. Ability to build tools. So a lot of frameworks and libraries are actually building the tools based on Angular. So if you see Ionic is one, Mike is also one of the team member of Ionic, and they are using Angular tools, which I'm going to mention a lot. And then you have built-in support for PWA. You don't have to actually go ahead and be an expert to actually create an PWA in Angular. So we'll also see that. SSR and pre-rendering, you already learned more about SSR from the session by Srishti. Built-in support for localization in I18N, sorry, internationalization, so if I'm not wrong, and built-in support for dependency injection. This is one of the great feature which actually puts Angular like in a separate bucket apart from all the frameworks which we have. And then it also has its own Angular material component library. So, and many more. So let's go ahead and get started. So whenever you have a new project, of course, the best the first criteria is we should be able to release faster. I mean, we should be able to develop faster. So let's see how you can actually get started with Angular. So there are 4 commands by using which you can start a new project, and then you can deploy your app. How cool is that, right? And if I tell you that you have an Angular CLI and you just still have to use Angular CLI, all 4 commands inside Angular CLI, and you are done. You created your application, you added some code, and then you deployed it. So npm I Angular CLI. So this is the first step. So by using which you can install you can install Angular CLI. Then you can create a new app by using ng-new, and then you can give an app name, and your app is created. Then to serve the application, of course, you have to test it locally, right? So what you can do is ng-serve, and then your application will be started on localhost, and then you can test it. And then finally, you can build the application using ng-build-fn prod. So you get a bundle which can be deployed on production. And finally, just do ng deploy. So Angular CLI has the built-in support for ng deploy, where you have multiple providers. In case anything is missing, feel free to add. I mean, this it's a community-driven project, so you have right now support for Azure, AWS, Firebase, Netlify, GitHub Pages, and many more. So that's about CLI. And the next thing, when you start with some front-end projects or front-end library, the another learning curve is templates. React has JSX, who has Vue.js. What about Angular? So Angular is just HTML. It's not that you have to learn a new language. So it's like you have three ways to actually work with templates. First is in string interpolation. So let's say you have any variable which you want to display in your template, which is still HTML. I'm not asking you to write a separate JSX or Vue.js extension. I mean, of course, they are great as well, but still HTML, right? I mean, I'm not learning a new template engine. So you can create a variable, just render them using string interpolation into your HTML, and that's done. You can also use property binding, which is my favorite feature, of course, because you can do a lot of stuff with property binding, and that's how you can actually create give a box any valid property name. Remember this. This is really important for the new learners, that any valid property name can be used for property binding. So you have any variables, you want to bind it to any valid property of any HTML tag, that's done. So just put a box and that's it. And then you have button. You have events, right? So of course, if you create an enterprise-wide application, you are going to work with a lot of events, maybe your click events or drop down different events, right? So what you in that case, so of course you can just use, this is banana syntax, which we call it as. So you can see click equals to function. So you can just still HTML, you're writing just HTML, right? So this is just a decoration which you are doing. For example, to work with property binding, you are putting a box, and to work with events, you are just doing a banana syntax. Dependency injection, as I said, one of my favorite feature, and one of the most useful feature in Angular, which actually keeps it in another league of frameworks. So what dependency injection is, most of the .NET developer and Java developers are actually aware of what dependency injection is, because we use it a lot, right? Because I used to be a .NET developer. I have written .NET code for like 8 years. Yeah, so 8 years, and then I love dependency injection. That was amazing feature. But what's in Angular, right? So in Angular, you don't have to configure anything. That's really cool, right? I mean, in Angular or Java, you have to again go ahead and use some other libraries, configure it, and then you can use it. DI is out of box in Angular. So what you can do is you can create classes. I'm sure everyone knows classes, and then it comes with a injectable decorator. So here, so let's say this product component, right? So this is a class, and then you can inject a class using constructor injection. In case you are a .NET or Java developer, you know two ways. I'm sure property injection, and then you have constructor injection. So here we are using constructor injection, and then you can start using all the methods which are actually available in that particular class. It also comes with a concept of token, injection token. So by using which you can actually go ahead and do a lot of stuff. Here I have given an example how you can actually use local storage, which is a native API of your browser, but inject it as a service inside your code. That's possible because of dependency injection. So let's move on. And then forms. As I said, Angular comes with forms. You don't have to worry about which form to choose. Of course, there is one problem that those forms are not type safe, and it's been a long pending feature, but still forms are really useful, and there are some libraries which are available to actually make your forms strictly typed, but Angular team is working on that. So you have two types of forms in Angular, which is one is template driven forms, and another is, we'll see that, right? So to use template driven forms, you have forms module. You can just import forms module, and you get all the functionality which template driven form offers, and then you can use it. What about reactive forms? So reactive forms has a separate module which is known as reactive forms module. You can just import it and then start using the features of it. If you are wondering which one is best, just go ahead and try both. Probably maybe reactive forms is best for you, or maybe template driven is best for you. My personal choice has been reactive forms for a long time, but you never know. So this is how you can actually create a form. So this is the reactive form approach, where you have a form. Of course, this is how you create a form in HTML, right? It's you go anywhere, and this is the way you will be creating a form. So you have form, and then this form group is actually, you're saying, okay, this is my form name, and we are still doing submit, nothing else. I mean, I just told you, right? So it's HTML, that's it. Template is nothing fancy. So, and then you have form control names, some form control names which we have created, and then you just submit the form, and that's it. And let's move on. And routing, what about routing? I mean, what in case my application is very large, I have a lot of navigation around. So what we can do, of course, Angular comes with routing. So you can just quickly set up your routes by using this syntax. So you have routes array, and then inside that you have two properties, path and component. And good thing about routing, which I have seen, is this syntax is almost similar in React and Vue as well. I mean, this is even if you're transitioning from React or Vue, you will not find any difference, right? So you have still path and component syntax, which is already available here. You have to actually provide your all paths, all routes using router module for root and for child. So in case you have child modules, child modules, and then you just use router link and then provide the route on which you want to navigate based on which link you click. And then don't forget router outlet. This is the biggest mistake when I still make it. So whenever I'm doing live coding, I still miss router outlet and then just bang my head around that what's wrong. Okay, but what in case we have a large application, right? So what's there? I mean, of course, I cannot serve an 2 MB application, and I can and tell my clients that okay, this will work perfectly fine. Probably yes, in case it is an internal application and no one cares about the internet bandwidth, right? Because in large organization you have a good infra, but what in case one day everyone starts working from home and they don't have good infra to work with? So let's lazy load, right? So you can actually split your code into multiple chunks. And how is that possible? Yes, that's possible using routing. So what you can do is you can have separate modules, and then you can use this syntax load children and then start lazy loading the modules. Angular team is working on a new API where you will be able to actually lazy load your components, but it will be in future. It's in roadmap, so definitely it will happen one day. But meanwhile, you can actually lazy load based on your modules. API calls, of course, every large enterprise application may need an API call, right? So how to do that? Uh, that's possible, right? I mean, of course, you can just go ahead and use Axios, or you can just use Fetch API, which is native. Or if you are old school, you can just go ahead and use XML HTTP requests. Just joking, don't use it. Angular has solution for this, so it's known as HTTP client module. So you can just use HTTP client module, and then it gives you all the services to work with your API calls. So what you can do is inject the HTTP client module, then inject the HTTP client service, and then it gives you access to all the methods of REST APIs. I mean, most of you already know REST APIs. In case you're not, so it is an like server-side code which will be hosted at certain endpoint, and then you have several methods like get, post, put, delete. So HTTP client is something which will give you access to all those methods, and then you can just give http.get and just pass your API. Great introduction. I mean, so there was a great session from Ankit previously, so you might have learned something about HTTP there as well. But yeah, this is how it is possible. You can just include HTTP client module, and that's it. Now let's move on to another use case. So you have a large enterprise, right? And you have many teams, and they are using different technologies. Someone is using React, someone is using Vue, someone is using just vanilla JS, or someone is using let's say Stencil, right? So how about creating an Angular component which can be used across any platform or any framework? So yes, Angular does support creating web components. What you have to do is you have to just do ng add Angular elements and then give the project name, whatever project name you have, and then this is the code. It gives you an API called create custom element, which you can find here. So you have create custom element API, which can convert your component to a custom element, which you can go ahead and use anywhere in any framework. Go to React, go to Vue, go to Stencil, go to anywhere, right? So even in your vanilla JS, and that's how you can actually use it. The only problem right now is you have to use Angular module, which is a little bit painful, but let's see. So create PWS. So now your manager comes one day, or your client comes one day and says, hey, look, what I can see a lot of people are talking about PWS. Let's do that. I mean, How can we do it like next day? And you will be like, oh my god, that should be pain, right? I mean, I have to learn PWA first and then I have to implement it. Don't have to inside your Angular app. So you can just do ng add Angular PWA. Most of the configuration is already done for you. Doesn't it make you productive, right? So yes, it does. So now let's move on to another feature, another amazing feature, localization. So over the years, everyone has their business growing up, and there are no boundaries now. So same business actually having same website is actually selling in across the world. What in case they have to maintain 20 different websites for different 20 different languages? That would be pain, right? So how Angular can help you here? So it has something called localization, so which is available. You can just do ng add Angular localize, and these are the things. So you have to extract all the files. You have to actually convert all the files manually. But there are three formats which are supported and which is industry standard as well. So you have Xclif 1.2, which is default, and Xclif 2 and XMB. So these are three file formats which are supported natively by Angular itself, Angular localization. But you already have many libraries available for localization, internationalization. So go ahead and feel free to explore what you need. Yeah. And then unit testing. Of course, there was a great introduction for unit testing by Jitendra. So it comes with zero configuration effort. You don't have to do any configuration to actually set up your unit testing. It comes with command job Jasmine, and then you can just do ng test to run test cases. Of course, you have to write it. So don't forget about that. So now let's say your client comes again and says, hey, what about SSR, right? So the project which I have built, or the product which we have built, it doesn't look like it's an SEO compliant because I am missing a lot of things, right? My actually application is not coming on top whenever I search. So how we can do that, or how we can actually reduce the initial load time? And then he says, I have heard something about SSR because Rusty said this in the C# Corner this C# Corner conference. So you say, okay, now I have to go ahead and learn SSR. You don't have to. I mean, sure, Sustain already informed you about this. So you can just do ng add, ng universal express engine, and then you get everything which is required to actually convert your applications to SSR. And what it does, so it does configures SSR with Express Server, provides dev server with live reload for SSR, so you can actually run it manually and check if it works fine or not. Provides pre-rendering functionality as well in case you want to pre-render some pages. Yes, that's possible. Now let's go above that, right? So you have let's say 5 different tabs, and now the problem is you have to actually go ahead and copy paste a lot of code in different 5 apps, and your manager says, look, we need a solution for this. We cannot just keep copy pasting our entire code. So he says, let's build libraries. And then you are like, okay, now how to build Angular libraries? So you don't have to worry about it. Angular has taken care of you. So what you can do is you can just do ng generate a new library and give a library name. So what you can do, so you can create and publish libraries. It provides the ng packager configuration which is needed to actually compile your libraries and publish it. And you can also use it inside the app. You probably never have to actually publish it in case you are just using it inside monorepo. You can share the code across multiple applications or libraries. So both are possible. This is how you do it. So you say ng generate library name, and then you can build a library by giving a library name and hyphen prod flag in case you want to publish it. In case you're just using it in monorepo, I think it's absolutely fine if you skip prod flag. And then you can just go inside the distributable folder, which will be created after build. And then you can just publish it. And publish, of course, you have to log in and create your own account. In case your organization is using JFrog or any internal IT factory, you have to actually give the path where you want to publish it. But what about errors, right? I mean, you will be getting a lot of errors in while writing code or while building code. What if I have to see all those code at runtime? That's a waste of time. So let's see how Angular makes you productive here. So Angular has Angular compiler, which is really awesome. So let's see. So what you can do. So you can debug your template. You can debug and test your component. You can actually get all the errors while actually doing ng-serve or ng-build. I mean, 90% of errors, you will actually get it here. 10% probably maybe it is related to dependency injection because that's something which is resolved at runtime. And this is how it helps you, right? So here you can see I am trying to use a property called inner text, which is not a valid property. So what if I see this error at runtime, waste of my time? Angular gives you this error inside the VS Code as well as once you do ngserve. So you can actually quickly resolve it and then move on, right? You can also debug your code, debug your components. So here there is an example where I'm trying to actually get hold of one of the component, and then I'm trying to assign a new value or any property to this particular object. So here you can see I have set $0, which is of course created by Chrome team. So you can use this in any framework or library. So here I'm taking the access to list components by using API called ng. So I'm passing ng.get component $0. So whatever component is selected, I'm getting the access. And then you can see I'm getting all the properties of to-do list component. And then you can just change the value. So I'm updating here to blank just to see if it was fine or not. And then you can just call ng.apply changes, and that's it. You can actually test your components in browser. I mean, you should be doing in end-to-end testing and unit testing, but this is even cooler, right? So you can actually do it here. So let's move on. There are a few more APIs which we have, but what about IntelliSense support? I mean, one of the biggest problem when I moved from .NET to Angular was actually, okay, how to get the IntelliSense support in VS Code, because .NET spoiled us, right? I mean, we always look for IntelliSense support, and that's also possible using Angular Language Service. So whenever you start with Angular, I will suggest go ahead and install Angular Language Service. So the advantage is all the errors, even without compiling, you will get it inside the VS Code. So if you have any types issue or any variables which does not exist, get the error inside the VS Code and just resolve it without actually compiling your application or you're even doing the production build. And it gives you, it actually prompts you with all the APIs which exist. So you don't have to search for those, just go ahead and use it. Angular Material in CDK. So what in case you want to build your own component library or you need an UI library, and let's say you decided to use Material Design. Yes, Angular comes with that, but it's a separate project, but still maintained by Angular. So what you can do is you can just use Angular Material. It's a UI library managed by Angular team. You can actually create your own components using CDK, and it is optimized and well tested for production use. So go ahead and feel free to use it. And this is how you can do it. So you can just do ng add Angular Material, and that is done. Now, so you did everything. Now there is a new tool. Let's say Playwright, right? So it's an E2E tool which is available for writing end-to-end test cases, and your manager says, let's use Playwright because looks like a cool project to me, and you have to actually go ahead and configure everything by your own, and it will be pain every time, right? So whenever you hand it over to other developers, what in case you just build a tool on top of Playwright and make it part of Angular CLI? Yes, that's possible. So you have two things which is available. The one API is known as schematics, where you can automate creation, modification, or adding any extra files to your workspace, and you can also automate setup for your library in Angular. So that's two things. I mean, of course, there are more things which you can do with schematics, but I just wanted to keep it short here. And then you have builders, so you can just overwrite the Angular build process. And let's say if you want to use Playwright, right, as an end-to-end test cases, yes, you can do that using builders, and you can bring your own tool. That's any framework is doing it, and even NX DevTools is doing it. Lot of builders are available. Even there are builders for Cypress. Want to be super productive? This is the surprise which I have. So yes, if you want to be super productive, just go ahead and do ng add narwhal/workspace, which will migrate your Angular CLI workspace to Narwhal workspace, and thank me later. So that's it. But there are two websites which I want to show you. Probably if it gets loaded, let's see. Yeah. So one is ngx.tools, where you can actually find a lot of schematics, libraries, and packages. And another is angularbuilders.dev, where you can actually go ahead and find a lot of custom builders, which is already created by a community. So you don't have to create your own, of course. We try to avoid it as much as possible, right? So just go ahead and search it on custombuilders.dev, and yeah. And these are some references in case you want to get started with Angular. You have angular.io, You have dev.to, this is Angular, then dev.to, Angular, and indep.dev. These are my go-to resources in case you want to learn more about Angular. And that's it for the day. Thanks a lot.